Today I'm going to be doing classes and objects. So the first thing you should know is what's the difference between a class and an object. An object is an instance of a class. So if the class is human, I would be an instance of the human class. In programming terms, I would be the object. Class would be human. Why do classes? The short answer is it's good for organizing code. Let's go ahead and create a class and make a few objects from that class. Let's go ahead and create our first class by typing class. And then I'm going to call the class animal. Put a colon, and animals are going to have properties or attributes like speed. Let's put speed here, and we'll say 10 miles an hour. And they also have behavior. So classes have attributes and behaviors, which becomes the attributes and behaviors of the objects when they're created. So we'll say, how about a method, which remember is a function, but a function inside a method, a function inside a class is called a method. Say move. Oh, what's that? Self, right? This self right here is actually going to be the instance of the object that calls move. Hard to explain, but pretty easy to show. So we're going to show that in a minute. So we'll have self that always gets passed in. You're going to get really used to seeing it. And then we'll put a direction that we move. And let's keep this simple. So we'll put a print statement. We'll say print the animal is moving, and then put the direction at, put the speed miles per hour. Get a format. Where's our format? We need the direction, right? That was the first argument. And then we're going to need the speed. We want this speed. There was no speed passed into the move. So we use self dot speed. There we go. So we used the property of the animal in our move. Nice. Now that's a simple little class. We could use this class to create an object, maybe a dog. Making sure we're outside the class animal, let's create an object called dog. So dog will be the object and animal is the class in which we'll create the dog from. And now I can call my behaviors from dog, right? I can say dog move. Ooh, what am I going to do with this self? This self is this dog object. But luckily Python knows, hey, because I am calling move from this dog, automatically stick that dog into self, right? So we don't have to do anything. And I'll just add a direction. Let's call it forward. And then see what we got. I'm going to do a run. Oh, look at that. The animal is moving forward 10 miles an hour. That's cool and all, but this right here, I call it property sometime. It's also an attribute. We would like to change these when we create the object. We might have dogs and cats. They might be moving at different speeds. What we need to do is create a constructor so that we can assign values to these attributes when we create our objects. Let's fix our yellow lines real quick. So we have a yellow line here. It says, we want 2 lines between the class and this line of code. So that yellow line went away. This one here says we want a new line. So if you highlight over it, it's hard to get on the video. There we go. Yep, no new line at the end of file. Let's do that. That little yellow line went away. This one here, there is a built-in function in Python called dir. It's for directories. So we can say direction. How's that? That looks pretty good. And then I'm going to just go Control C, Control V, just so that we have it here. I was trying to keep that short so we can keep everything on one line. All right, now let's make a constructor. A constructor is called when you create a new object. So down here, we have this animal. We're creating a new object, dog, and we can define a constructor that's going to get called automatically when we create a new animal. It's going to be a method, so we'll do def. And then since we're not going to call the constructor directly, we're going to rely on Python to call it. We're going to use an underscore underscore, or it's sometimes called a dunder or dunderscore. It's two underlines together. We're going to say init, and then you could see right here you have some IntelliSense saying, hey, do you mean this? We do mean that. So we have the self, but let's also pass in the speed, right? And then we are going to initialize our variable right here, our attribute, with the speed that is in the constructor. I'm going to say self dot speed equals speed. Now this speed here will get passed in down here. She is complaining. See that yellow? Let's go ahead and put 20. And then this will have a value of 20 when we create. Self is going to be the object that's getting created. So this self right here is going to actually replace this. We're not going to need this anymore. If you've done Angular, you're going to love that. In the constructor, anything you define and then set in the constructor, you don't have to have it listed up here. There we go. So this is the object's speed. That's the one we're going to use down here. This is just the value we get passed in. Let's go ahead and play this or run it. Look at that, 20 miles an hour. So now when you make more animals, you can give them different speeds. I'm going to close this window right here so we can see more. I'm going to make another animal. I'm going to make another dog. Control C, Control V. This is going to be dog 2. If I can get it. There we go. Dog 2, dog 2. And then let's make this one move 30 miles an hour. All right. And instead of forward, we'll go left. That way you can see they're different. Let's run it. All right, we got our second animal. The animal is moving left at 30 miles an hour. One more thing I want to show you, and that is the toString method. If you do Java, it's called toString. Let's close this. And that's also a dunderscore method, because if we do something like print dog2, you're going to get some default print value. Run it. Yeah, that's not very helpful right there, right? You might want to print the object out a little bit better. Close that window. Let's go up here and do the Python's version to toString. We'll say def. It is a dunderscore, so underscore underscore string self. And now we are going to return what we want to print out when we do a print on our object, or when we want a string for our object. Let's get a speech quote, and I'll say, this is a basic animal with speed equal to open and close curly bracket dot format, and then self dot speed. All right, that'll work. Now when we do this print out, we're going to get a better message. This is a basic animal with the speed of 30. And of course you could fix that up. So I thought that would be pretty cool just to have objects and classes and be able to do a constructor, and the toString kind of gets you far. In the next video, I'm going to do subclasses.